Hello. Hello.
I have no clue what's going to be happening in Yakuza 0. I'm gonna be real with you. I have not been. I have played like the whatsamahoozies, the Like a Dragon one, which is sort of like this spin-off where you're following crazy haired dude with like the Dragon Quest style combat. I personally like that Dragon Quest style combat. I'm not too sure if it's just because of like my first video game was Pokemon and I will never like not give up on that style of whatsamahoozies of like brain. Come on, process. You can do this. Think harder. Think harder. I won't. I like. I know some people don't like turn-based combat, and there's like this huge thing about trying to modernize games so it moves away from the turn-based combat. But as we've demonstrated with Baldur's Gate 3, we're not bored of turn-based combat. What we're bored with is stale combat, which can be done with shooters, turn-based patterns, what have you. So Baldur's Gate is a really great turn-based combat because it's all about positionals. You have your fluidity of choice with type differences and yada yada yada. Pokemon is just stale because they brought in the type differences way back when, and that was a huge thing when it was first released, especially for the handheld, because normally type differences and such like that were on, like, you know, the more beefier consoles and what have you. But then, you know, we stuck with type differences for a very long time, and, you know, they kind of got annoyed with us. Or we're annoyed with them, sorry, for the lack of type difference. I don't blame you for that style to stick with you. I love turn-based RPGs. Thank you. They're like combat if it's a Mario. Yes, because that was one of the whatsamahoozies. That's one of the more recent games that have come released, and I was like, oh, I wonder if I'll have time to play that. Nope, I do not have time to play that. I really wish I had the time to do, like, just playing whatever fucking video games that I want, but I don't have that kind of luxury. I'm still working full-time, and I've recently committed to this really dumb idea of, I'm gonna play all of Yakuza, and I really need to get through that as quickly as possible because I know there's another Yakuza on the line that I'm gonna need to get to. You have 62,000 channel points. Amazing, Sky. That lurking has been doing you justice. I love how the better Twitch TV emote is still like 100,000. No one's ever hit that. But the video requests redeem. What is that one? Share a video link and what or bit value that video should be available at. That one is still available, and I don't know if I'm going to do any like changes of like, oh, it increases in cost every time it gets redeemed. It's actually a short game from what I remember in being told. What, the Super Mario RPG? Well, I'll be sure to check in with Code about that one. Also, is my eyes working? Hang on. Technically, yes. Okay. So it's not doing its... Yeah. Radio. That guy. Hi there, Iron Yoshi. Welcome to the stream. Alrighty, let's get into the business. And our business is playing some fucking Yakuza. Because I have so much Yakuza to go, and it's going to be very painful trying to go through all of it. Alright, is the PC source turned on? Yes, it is. Come on, there we go. Alrighty then. Let's pause that. And, alright, let me have a look at my business. Yay, payout is ready. Alrighty then. Ooh. Hang on, where's the people disrespecting the woman? You hear... Oh, there they are. We gotta protect our lady. Wait, no, that's not her. Who's the one that's getting... Where the fuck... Okay, I don't see it. Alright. Cookie for Hawaiian pizza! So yeah, so hopefully... It's an older generation game. It's bound to be shorter than most. Oh, is it really just a remake and that's it? They've not, like, done an entirely new thingy-majiggy like, Resident Evil, 2 and 3 and 4. Yes! 3 million yen. Excellent. Alrighty. Alright, let's have a look. So... These are already in the B's. Oh!
Jason with the 25-month tier 1
25?
sub.
That's almost a
Hello.
quarter of 100. Hello, welcome to the stream, Jason. Thank you so much for the 25 months. You are currently on a 2-year month streak. I greatly appreciate it. You don't have to deal with the advertisements that pop up on my streams now once an hour, and you get to utilize all the cool emotes. I wonder if you have a favorite yet, and if you want to share them with the chat. So yeah, joining us is, no one's joining me in the Discord chat, let me be real with you, but I forgot to mention that Xerix was the first to the stream. We got Iron Yoshi, we got Sky, and we've got Hawaiian Pizza lurking as well. Alright, so the security guy is kind of okay. Let's see, so he costs 100,000. This guy has, like... Hello there, Code. This doesn't look like Yakuza. You're right, there is a I am not doing the thing I need to do, which is the... Hang on a sec, so he's in the zeros, he's in the What is up with, like, look at it. -2 economic influence, -2, -2, and 4. This one's okay, but you gotta pay $1 million to use him. I'm gonna assign a new manager, and the business guy, or the guy that's gonna do like all the, let's see, so he's gonna influence
Now,
our
you can't
safety.
spell nutrition without nut, am I right?
You're right. Alrighty, let's have a look. So we can invest. So this one isn't gonna do a lot of. So we're getting a lot from this thing. Alright, let's just. Let's have a very slow, relaxing sort of product thingy-majiggy, because the economics isn't gonna be too high. Ow! Okay. I'm going to keep going on with the Yakuza shit, okay? Cookie for Code. Also, Code, question for you, Code. How long is the game Super Mario RPG? Because someone was saying it was, like, relatively short because of the fact that it's an older style, it's an older game, and even with the turn-based, it doesn't, you know, take very long. Alrighty. Oh, let's see if I can annoy the drunk. Hey, you. Let's beat you up if we can. Come on. I just want to... Yeah, okay. Oh, maybe I can fight this guy. Hang on. Cookie for Jason. It's not too long? Okay. Would you say it's shorter than this? Is it shorter than Yakuza? Oh, there's a drunkard that will fight me. There we go. Watch this shit. Bam. I said you could get through it in like... You say you can get through it in 10 to 15 hours? Okay. That's not too bad for an RPG. I think that's fine. I am much more attracted to video games that don't have like the gigantic amount of like hour replay to get through the story and such. Because here's the thing, is that everyone laughs at like, you know, the actual, like, you know, single player campaign of the Call of Duty games where it's like only 5 hours or only 3 hours or 8 or what have you. But here's the honest thing. That is probably one of the better ways of managing your single player combat and transitioning them into the multiplayer. Don't give them like 100+ hours to get through shit, and don't give them like a middling, like an hour or something like that they can only get through like during seasonal content. Give them a decent 5-hour chunk of content, I feel, in terms of like single player experience, and then throw them into the multiplayer where you get your monies and shit like that. Alrighty, Stamina X doesn't really do that much compared to the sushi kit. Alright, so there's our sushi. 200 hours worth of side quests and MMOs. Oh, I'm getting close to that with my Final Fantasy XIV run through right now. I think streaming wise, I've put in like 315 hours or more into streaming Final Fantasy XIV on here. But I have most certainly have done more than 300 hours of Final Fantasy XIV because of the mix of stuff I've done off stream. What the hell is this guy doing? She looks so similar. No, maybe not, but still. Ooh, she's a blonde. There's not a lot of blonde Asians, I don't think. Oh, she's gone. Maybe it is her, but I could be wrong. Alright, this guy's peeving. It's like, sugar daddy, we are not taking part in this side quest right now. I have places to be. Head to the apartment. It also would be nice if not a bunch of things were locked behind PvP for those that don't like it, especially events. That one is debatable. Because I, like, hear me out on this kind of stuff, but there are people that are interested in the PvP when they play into these PvP games, and there is going to need to be some incentive for them to join into the PvP if they've, you know, decide to drop it for a little bit and such like that. So, I do agree, you probably shouldn't have, like, the essential shit behind PvP. Like, let's say, for an example, there was a PvP rock, paper, scissors game in the Yakuza games, and it was like, oh, but if you want to get, like, the true ending or something like that, you're going to need to get, like, this one item that is available after, like, 5 or 10 of these, or 5 or 10 wins from the rock, paper, scissors, like, PvP. It's like, that one's very annoying. But if it's one of those, like, oh, here's something that you can get as just simply a pedigree mark for you've done the What's-a-Mahoozy PvP stuff, and it only is like, you know, it's like an end game thing where it's like you've already got like the best equipment you can. This is more of like a, you know, just pure aesthetic, like mounts, for instance, in Final Fantasy XIV. If it's just that, I'm fine with it. I think that's perfectly fine. Ah, fuck! I think a bug went into my mouth. Ah. Plus, I have like this sore on my lip. God damn it. Hi, Galgadio. You made me swallow a bug. Fuck you. Ah! Collect 999 pine cones to find the golden pine cone to unlock the golden pine sword of the wooden revenger. Yep. Supposed to get in touch, but how am I supposed to... Until then, there may still be something I can do. I'll hit the street for info in the morning. It's fair to expect the family will be around for me, and if they find me, there's no getting around a fight. They'll be coming for me with guns blazing. Better make sure I'm ready now before things go down. Anything left I should do before hitting the sack. Let's call it a night. The Korok seeds and get nothing. Look, when the Korok seeds popped up again in Tears of the Kingdom, I knew exactly where the joke was going to go. I knew exactly what was going to happen, and I didn't, you know, put a huge priority on the Korok seeds other than needing to get, like, the additional slots I needed for, like, weapons or shields. And then people were, like, rushing through it trying to get the 999 Korok seeds, and what did they get? The exact same thing they got in Breath of the Wild, which was, oh, here's just, like, a golden poop. Congratulations, you played yourself. Again. Kazuma family office in Kamurocho.
桐生は立花を渡さねえって腹です。堂島の親父につなぎ。
So Grant, you getting the new Fortnite kitty?
Oh, Oscar.
親父。
I don't know how much he costs.
例の件ですが。やっぱり。桐生は始末します。
Oh no.
立花おりませんでした。堂島組に義理書いたけじめはきっちりつけさせます。では。構いませんよね。
I want a horse code. I think I've established this time and time again. I don't care for however many variances of a cat you can get. I want the horse. And it makes more sense we'll get a horse at some point. Because we now have Peter fucking Griffin in the thingy. And there's going to be people being the meme of, Peter, the horse is here. Also, what is this purple suited guy going on about?
Ilayoshio 2 paid me to say, can you smell the sweatiest of Japanese men?
The sweet sweatiness of Japanese men? Like, the try-hard sweatiness of these Japanese men? I don't know.
桐生は風間の頭が拾ってきたわけです。堂島組でそのガキ始末すんのに、風間組には特にこの事務所ごと振るってもらわなきゃ筋が通らねえ。違いますか？
No idea.
おっしゃる通りです。
だったらそろそろ始めましょうよ。そうだな。
Oh, that's my mom texting. What is that about?
やれ！桐生探し出してここに連れてこい！
I gotta like I gotta answer my mom about this. She wants to know what time I will arrive on Christmas Eve. Wait, which day is Christmas Eve? Oh, that's Sunday. How many days are there between Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve? Like, Christmas Eve, New Year's Day, sorry, Christmas Day, so the 25th, 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th. Is it 30 or 31 days in Christmas? Also, I've been getting, where am I been getting, oh no, it's just my sister saying cool. And then, oh, my mom talking about, like, things in the, there's 30, okay, thank you, 31 days. All right, so it's a little, so, wait, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 30. Okay, so yeah, 7 days. What a coinky dink. What a coinky dink. It, like from Christmas Eve to New Year's Eve, it's 7 days. Fantastic.
Hey. 奴は簡単にはぶち殺さねえ。生け捕りにして俺の前に出せ。
Ow. Alright, so we got all them peeps to fight. And then there's our buddy Nishiki, who, let's be real, is probably not going to be following that order. And instead, if we do have to fight him, we'll be taken somewhere else. Alright, it is now the morning. If I'm going to look into the case while I wait for Tachibana to get in touch, I should stick to places without a lot of people around. And even then, I should be... Of course it's code. Of course you want to fart in my stream. Cookie for Jason. Ow. Alrighty. Imagine going after someone who just wanted to leave the Yakuza. Well, to be fair, he didn't actually want to leave the Yakuza.
Huh?
Onyx _ Severus paid me to say hi Grant, how goes it being a Yakuza?
Well, I'm technically not with the Yakuza right now. I'm just with a real estate company. It's not usually like this, babe. Alright, so we got Yakuza to deal with right now. Alrighty. So, hang on, where's the... Usually there's like a mission thingy-majiggy that'll pop up. What I can do, but where do I go? Oh. Alright, how do these guys fight, is the question. Oh no, these are just men in black. Oh, I am absolutely terrible with the... I don't know why, but, like, this is giving me some very... Maybe I'm just shit at games now, where, like, everything just feels like Dark Souls, where it's like, I just cannot get behind whatever new mechanic they're trying to throw at me. Fucking fly getting to my nose. Oh, okay. I need to learn, like, better means of... Oh, come on. I need to learn a way to be able to, like... Oh, Jesus. I need to learn better ways of, like... What's-a-Muhuzi, of like being able to like manage enemies. So like rather than trying to deal with like two of them at the same time, because the case is like if I ever miss a hit on one of them, then they're both ready to just sort of be like, "Oorah!" and then just fucking wail at me. All right, let's see what the Proto Blade is like. Yeah, I'm not too good at this. Using a fucking Proto Blade in order to deal with. You go suck a lemon, Furry Cures. I don't see you helping me out in this one. Icy is cute. Ah! There we go. Got him this time. I'ma get something to eat. What are they saying? The whole town's been crawling with Yakuza since daybreak. They're looking for someone and they're pissed. Alright, that's not great. Oh, that is Doja. Okay. So I can't go that way. And slam that on his head. You got finals today? Oh, well, good luck with that. Wait, get some sleep, Furry Cures. If you got finals, you gotta have a good... You have to have a good study ethic, and that means having appropriate levels of sleep, so then that way your brain isn't, like, just a mushy, tired mess when you go into the exams. Be careful of such things. Alrighty, so that's the Yakuza out of the way. And that's another group of Dojima guys. Thank you once again. Why are you farting in my chat, Code? God, I'm being herded like a cat. I can't prove it. It says in the chat. Look in the chat. Code the Yoshi played the fart reverb for 50 bits. I know it's you, Code. Oh boy. Who are these guys? Dojima family slugs. Okay. Struggling only makes it hurt worse. The place will be swarming with Dojima crew in a minute. You're not going anywhere. Thank you once again for the 50 bits. Try and swallow my fist. Here we fucking go. Let's see how we do. And absolutely getting wailed on. That's my mom. Hi, Mom.
Thank you Sir Dragonks88 for the 3-month tier 1 sub. Alright then. Love you, Mom. Bye. So that was my mom. She just wanted to confirm. Also, my tits can stop bouncing at this point. Thank you very much. She wanted to confirm the fact that I was, you know, going up to seeing her and such like that, and it was like, oh, like leaving on Christmas Eve or something like that. And it's like that one would be a very big if, especially on public transport, which it was. And after like looking at the what's-a-mahoozy transportation thingy-majiggy, it absolutely was, because it looked like there was going to be a track closure halfway through. So we looked at Saturday, which would be the 23rd, which would also be technically like Christmas sort of timing, and it would take me. Let's see, I'm leaving at 11 a.m. and I'm arriving at 1 p.m. So it's a good, like, 2 hours of transportation. I do not, and this is after, like, oh, let's
look for a time where I can leave after 10 a.m. And it's like, nope, the fuck you are. Like, if I leave at 9:30, maybe, but it's like, yeah, there's only 9:45, and then there isn't another train until 11 a.m. It's crazy. There is several hours gap between between one like train and another. Fuck's sake, Australia. All right, eat my sushi so I don't die. It's Christmas time, what do you expect? Heck, I'm not expecting this kind of shit. My mom is. Like, I love you, Mom, but sometimes your sense of logistics and reality do not match up to the city and the times. Oh my god, how the fuck do... This is honestly painful. This is honestly painful. How? This isn't even like a very hard difficulty. What's the strat? You must be ready to fight at all times, and it pays to observe enemies closely. You earn money to upgrade in the pause menu, attacking using X and... Okay, thank you for the quick rundown. I thought there would be like the Dojima like this kind of fighting. It's like, no. Alright, let's try the bear. The bear is a terrible idea. Still painful.
Hello.
Hi there, Rune, Zach. I'm getting my ass handed to me by Yakuza, and a part of me wonders whether I'm just too dumb with the game. It made you smile seeing you use the graphic this week that had the Sailor Moon pose. Aw, thank you! I didn't want to keep using the same pose, and what's more is, like, I hadn't yet worked on, like, any Christmas-themed sort of, what's-a-mahoozy, thing. I haven't worked on, like, because I'm working on a Santa hat, but I barely have the free time to do it, and anytime I do give myself a day off or something like that, I'm just very much just trying to recover from like the last week or something like that. I'm never like just present to improve myself on something. It's always recovery whenever it gets to the weekend. Temporarily switch to easy. No, we're not about that. I can figure this out. I am not going to be belittled in this. Something will click. No, do not whack me or Masonic. I will figure this out. Cookie for Masonic, but right now I'm in the middle of a fight with the Yakuza and getting my ass handed to me. And it is painful. It is oh so painful. Give yourself kindness. I will figure this game out, okay? I'm not gonna minimize my difficulty. Other people of like greater age and lower skill have been able to do this. I can get out of this. I will figure out the key to this, okay? It's not gonna take me forever. I'm not gonna end up like that fucking like Australian streamer that just, you know, feels like an absolute idiot in front of the Zelda puzzles and you know, influences Western design. Damn it. Damn it! Oh, dear, that, Oh, try blocking. I can only block like 2 or 3 things and then they just break through it.
Savage with a 20-month tier 1 sub.
I need the muscles, Aranea Zach. This is inhumane punishment, Aranea Zach. I thought you would just ask for a cookie or some shit, or gift me a sub. Hi there, Cap. Get out of that bind. There we go. Come on. There we are. Just let me use the sign once and kick your asses, please. Yes! Oh. How is being nice a punishment? I want people to be nice to me. Is that so hard to ask? Also, where the fuck is... Oh, okay. Alrighty. How's my night being? Absolutely terrible, Cap. I'm trying to get through this combo. Get off me. What has happened to make your day bad? The fact that I have to deal with these Yakuza, and it's such a like an unfair feeling of combat. There we go. Ah. You could have metal shrapnel in your eye. That is true. At most, I had to deal with a bug flying into my mouth. God fucking damn it. There we go. There we go. Enemy down again. You thought my day outside of stream was bad and I was trying to provide comfort. Oh, okay. No. The day outside of stream was fine. I didn't have to work today, which was very thankful, but that was because I had to work on Saturday, so... But... Oh my god, 30 seconds? How the fuck am I supposed to defeat these guys in 30 seconds? Fuck! And I'm wasting time. Let me pick up the thing. God damn it. Oh my god. Oh, it's starting again. No, come on! How the let me pick up things, you piece of shit. Oh, this is pain. Pain beyond belief. How the hell is there... No, come... Fuck! Oh! What is with this combat? How do I have moments of I feel incredible and then it just so sharply hits down to I am fucking up so hard? Ah! Can you parry? Let me double check. Oh, I'm all the way back here! Oh, I'm all the... Okay, hang on. Alright, so here are the things I've got. Throwing my entire body into a vicious kick. Charging up my knee. Slip past a guarding enemy's defenses, grab their face, twist, and stomp them into submission. Maximum health, maximum health. A ferocious assault unleashed after being knocked down. An improved counterattack unleashed after charging it up, which adds a knockdown effect. What? Reduces... Thingamadoogie, power... Alright, Phoenix Spirit. Power Surge. The White Tiger experience when I taunt... I don't know how to taunt someone. The Essence of Disarming. Spry Mastery. Reduces the damage you take when thrown by an enemy. You need to read the controls then. Yeah, give me a sec. So the rush combo is the X thingy. The finishing blow is Y. Grabbing is the B. When I grab someone, I can do the thingamadiggies, or I can just throw them again. Holding the RB locks me into a fighting stance in front of the person, to the person in front of me. LB holds up my guard. Resetting the camera is the left trigger. Evading is with the A. When I can immediately strike back at enemies attacking me immediately, and I'm pretty sure because of Brawler, I got myself the thingy-madiggy of... Where is it? Furthering the damage of my counter. Where is it? Here it is. Extra resolute counter. An improved counterattack unleash after charging out, which adds a knock-on effect. So that's by holding. Okay, so holding the right trigger will taunt. Do I need to be of a chart? No. Okay. There we go. This combat is 100% about learning timing and attack patterns. I hate it. I do not like that whatsoever. Why can't I just be a fucking brawler of just hitting things real fast like God of War? Stop punching me in the back, you dick! Alright, get rid of Honda. Go. And I pressed the wrong buttons, but that's okay, because... Yes! He's dead. At that point, he's fucking dead. Go. It's there. I much rather prefer the whole rushing mentality. Alright, we got 30 seconds to get rid of them. You have to sleep. Yeah, hasn't taken into account daylight savings. Okay, that's probably because the thingamadiggy I listed, I usually don't do the change to daylight savings and such. Oh my fucking god! Oh, you had to do that to me, didn't you, you son of a bitch? I swear to Christ, if this makes me drop my bicycle... Yeah, oh my god, of course they had to, you son of a bitch. Alright, there we go. You go suck a lemon. God damn this game. God damn this game. Hey, Savage, welcome to the stream. I'm getting my ass handed to me. Oh. Really good. Really good. Oh, nice to hear you doing better, Aranea. It was close. I was close to dying and I didn't realize it, and that would have been problematic. Oh, it's gonna be like that, is it? Oh, don't you be like that with me, you son of a bitch! Oh, I am mad now. There is very little in the realm of, like, calm in me. I am just fuming at this game now. A part of me does not understand whether or not it's a case of I'm just trying to get further than is necessary with the amount of, like, skill I do have. Like, I don't know if it's just a case of that where I've been, like, trying to rush it too much, and so now there's just this, you know, missing amount of skill in me, or if it's something else. Son of a bitch. Pain. Pain. Did I lose him? I can't keep this up forever. Hey.
Yakuza に追われてるんでしょ?
The Yakuza aren't after you, aren't they?
そんな風に
You stay out on the streets like that, and they'll find you in no time.
あんたさえよかったら
If you wanted, you could step inside the club a while. Nani?
うちの店
The floor plan's a little unconventional. Back door leads right into the sewers. You can get out from this part of town without anybody seeing you.
から離れられる
Why are you helping me?
あんたを追いかけてんの
It's the Dojima families who's after you.
いつも偉
Those
そうに
assholes
して
think they own this town.
そいつら
You
好き
won't
なやつ
find
なん
one
て
honest man in
この町に
Kamurocho
いない
who doesn't hate those
それ
lowlives.
に
Besides, it'd be a waste to let the Yakuza take out a hot young stud like you. I'm a stud. Me, I get the stripper treatments. But hey, if you've got a better offer, by all means. Being able to move around underground would be huge, but can I trust her? This could be a trap, but I don't have any other options. Alright, lead the way
じゃあこっち来て
this way
もたもたしてると
and
奴ら
step
に見つかっ
lively
ちゃう
before they
よ
catch us. Excuse me. But yeah, welcome back everyone from the break. Oh my goodness. Goodness gracious. Oh, hi there. I didn't see your message, Benru, earlier. I'm so sorry about that. Saw your post about the MF furs. Don't worry, I didn't go either. That's... So yeah, there have been a few people who haven't gone, and it was just, I feel like it was something that would resonate with a lot of people. The whole, like, seeing all these furs, having fun at a furry because here's the thing, it's like, every time I see the American furry conventions as opposed to the Australian ones, the American furry conventions, I feel like the space is just so much bigger and there's like a lot more shit going off than there is whenever I'm looking at the Furdoos that is going off in Australia. Like there's a lot more recognizable faces at Furdoo for me than there is with like the MFF, but I feel like there's just a whole ton of other things going off, and plus it just feels like there's bigger space within the hotel for the furries, so then that way you're not risking being in full suit outside and like just sweltering in the heat. A room got filled up within 15 minutes and a fire marshal was called. Oh, not a good idea. Wait, are you talking about like a hotel room or a convention room? Because if it's a hotel room, shame on those guys, because like I know room parties are a thing in hotels and shit like that, but really you should not be breaking those kinds of rules. If it's a convention room, oh, okay, interesting. Wow, I guess they didn't expect that much popularity. Radio. Alrighty then. Said my thing, let's continue on. I heard the previous owner wasn't expecting the upstanding business type. I don't know what he was so afraid of. Where does it lead? A lot of dialogue I wasn't reading fast enough. Theater district, apparently. I never bothered to check myself. The box room event at MFF, from what you saw on socials, they just stacked a room full of empty boxes combined with fursuiters and chaos ensued. Aw, did they... I imagine they all ran around through the empty boxes and such, just pretending they're the Kool-Aid man.
Go suck a lemon.
You go suck a lemon, furry cures. By now, the Dojima are probably all parked outside the club looking for you. Use the special to pop up somewhere else, and you'll throw them off. Let's hope and thanks. I owe you this. Alright, where is he heading? What the fuck is down here in the sewer? They have motorcycles down here? Yep, they have a motorcycle down there, and it's... Oh, it's the dude we cut the finger off. Well, we didn't cut his finger off. He had to do it himself. I'm sorry, but did you really think you could take on a metal bat that was accelerating at you, Kiryu? Okay, I do not feel as bad anymore about getting my ass whooped if this is the character I'm having to control and such, as someone that's just going to be like, I am going to just do this at a metal pipe that's going to be rushing at me, possibly at a speed that would kill me. You guys realize you're in a sewer, right? It's gonna be disgusting. It's gonna smell awful. In the Yakuza life, there are no KOs. I'm pretty sure there are knockouts, because I'd be knocking all kinds of people around. Yeah, this guy's just crazy.
てめえみたいな半端もんが一番許せねえんだよ。死ねやボケや。
Dude, like, your arms would have broken. Damn it, I thought I had the advantage on that one. Yeah, the metal, yeah, thank you for believing on me on this one. Like, it's a metal pipe. It's going to do more harm than a lot of things will do to bones. I love how they take the pipe out of his hands despite the fact that we're running through this fight with him and holding a pipe and all that. There we go. Okay, so like it's fun with one-on-ones and such like that. It's when there's like a group fight that I'm just having. I'm not having the fun. You finally got the Night Pegasus whistled. Nice. Did you? Oh, you had to buy it. It wasn't like a loot drop thing for you, Xerix. Hi there, Bone. Like, the system is interesting on a 1-on-1, but it. Maybe it's because I'm thinking, like, when I'm going through this, I think you sell it, you had a spare. Ah, okay. Yeah, maybe it's, like, I'm looking at this game, and maybe I'm just having, like, I think I'm about to get, like, a Devil May Cry or a God of War thing where it's like, oh, you can just have fun, like, just whipping shit, but that might not be how I need to be thinking every time I'm going into the group battles.
さっきあんたが言った通り俺は極道を張り続けなかった半端もんだ風間のおやっさんはきっとそれを見抜いてたから俺が極道になることを許さなかった本物の極道ってのは多分あんたみたいな男なんだ
Okay, this is gonna be weird revelations.
それでも俺は半
He's
端
talking
もん
about like, oh, I couldn't possibly be Yakuza, but we know for a fact there's 5 more Yakuza games with him in it. Like, he's part of the Yakuza for like 6 games. He's going to be Yakuza again.
俺の前に立ちふさがろうがな
Hey, god damn you. God damn it. Thank you for the hyper himbo, though. I do appreciate it.
Be so fine. Then boom. Morning.
Yeah, the black and white filter does not work very well on me when people decide to steal my shirt. Why is your day horny for you, Sir Dragon? What was the Twitter thing about with you and Scribbly? Did you forget you watched his streams or something? No, it was... Like, I didn't know what make... Like, there was like this account or something like that about plushies, and I was like, I don't know who this is, and I think Scribbly was like saying as if they were in the streams or something, because Leon mentioned both me, Scribbly Noodle, and a third person, so I think Scribbly was insinuating that I didn't know who he was or another person, instead of like the plush maker or what have you, but yeah. I don't do well with communicating with people on the internet and such like that. This is something I've had to learn, like, today of all days as well. I was in a Minecraft server doing my thing, and like there's no like major mistakes when it comes to communication and such like that. There isn't like some very obvious thing for someone to tell me to not do, like, oh hey Grant, you should stop with the anti-Semitic commentary, or, you know, tone down on the furry shit. It's like there's none of that kind of stuff. There's none of those easy things for like pointing out. It's like, oh hey, like, don't talk about this, don't raise your voice there. Like, it's these little small mistakes, unfortunately. It's the ones that, like, you know, keep in people's opinion and what have you. And like something happened in the server, and something or rather, where it's a case of someone thought I stole something, and it ended up in my room or something like that. And I got like all caps in a chat of like, hey, where is this thing? And what have you done with it? I'm like, I don't know where it is. I don't know what you're talking about. And then a few moments later, like, it's in your room or something like that on the server. And I was just like, I did not put that there. And so I get someone else DMing me within the server, like, what? Like, Grant, what did you do? Where is this? Why did you do that? And I'm just like so sick. Like, I was so annoyed at this point, because it was like, it wasn't the first time something decided to be like, someone decided to like point fingers and accuse me of either griefing or theft. And thank Christ, like within 5 minutes, and it's like someone decides to pipe and be like, oh hey, I thought this was Grant's thing, because it was right next to a thing he previously made, so I just put it in this little alcove that was right next to his room, didn't think it wasn't his or something like that. And it's like, cool, great, but it's like not the first time that people have decided to like point fingers as me responsible and such like that. And I find that some reasons that people will do that whole pointing fingers thing is just the simple fact that I don't communicate very well under stress. When, like, whether it's a case of trying to lie in a game of Among Us, or trying to argue for the sake of like, oh, I should be, you know, in the right, or I shouldn't be like persecuted or anything like that. I don't communicate my stance very well. Didn't work out very well. And even after this thing was resolved, and like, you know, the person said, hey, sorry for doing this kind of thing. And it's like, hey, I appreciate that. I'm still a little bit annoyed because it's the third time this has happened, and the volume in which you spoke about this was way too loud for, you know, like just text in a Discord server and such. And we got into a conversation about like, oh, like this could have been very different. And I was like, yep, no, absolutely. It could have been very different where if it was like online and such, and I can hear cadences and what have you. And I could have like, and because of me trying to defend myself or something like that, it would definitely be a case of me just fucking it up entirely because of my autism. And the person just sort of like just emotes dead faced at me, and it's like they have autism too, and they didn't think that was called for. And it was like, cool. That was my fuck up. I shouldn't have. Granted, sometimes I'm not an innocent being, but the thing is that like, there will be phrases like those where that will sit with me, and then there might be phrases that there will be some phrases that sit with me, and it's not really a problem, but then there'll be like throwaway lines I'll make, and those ones will color people's opinion about me and will dictate whether or not they actually want to communicate with me, because communicating with people is hard. It takes energy. And sometimes it takes way more energy than you're willing to commit, and you would rather not talk to the person. When it comes to this whole like argument of like, oh, I could care less or I couldn't care less, like that's where the human communication is like I could like when people do the whole I could care less in the realm of like talking to people and such like that, it's a case of look, if they're going to talk to me and such like that, I'm going to do the polite thing and talk to them. If they approach me, I'll reciprocate, yada yada. But when you get to a point of I couldn't care less, that is when you don't communicate with people. You just decide, nope, you're not worth it. Nothing I say is going to like, you know, nothing I say is going to hit you, and I'd much rather just not waste my time and just ghost you if I have to. And the internet, unfortunately, like, it is a valid tactic to, you know, not communicate with someone. But the problem is that it then gets into this new issue of it now goes under the same sort of context as ghosting, which isn't good. So now you have this legitimate action, which is not approaching, not communicating, not reciprocating to a person, but it goes into the same box of, oh, here's someone I thought we were hitting it off, and deciding to just drop all communications with me and just hope that I thought they were dead or some shit. And it's like, people are weird. Yes, people are weird. I go nonverbal when I get into stressful situations, so I don't lie. It takes too much energy to keep up the lie. Yeah, like it's just tough communicating with people, and it's not a case of, because it got brought up as well by the guy by the person that had autism as well, where and I agree with them on this factor where autism isn't a wall. You're just because you have it, it doesn't excuse you from trying to be better. It doesn't permit you from being able to have an excuse to not try and improve your social skills and communicate with people and such like that. Like you very well can get better with communication and such, but holy shit, like it doesn't help. It's still like end of the day, it still doesn't help with communication or you trying to, you know, self-analyze how you communicate with someone. Sorry if you open a can of worms there. Nah, it's okay. You didn't know it was going to lead to that. You didn't know the Twitter thingy-majiggy wasn't gonna. You didn't know the Twitter thingy-majiggy was gonna lead to that. It's okay, Benru. This one has been sitting with me like just internally because I didn't have anyone to communicate with, and the two people I was able to communicate with today, both of them had accused me of like you know some shit in a Minecraft server, and one of them was nice enough to be like, hey, sorry for making that kind of insinuation. I was just meaning to like, you know, be a bit of a riff of like the whole like overreaction thing you see in comedies and such like that. And the other person was like, in my defense, it was in your room and such like that. And like, yeah, that was what that's what the two communications were. And that's like, and when I'm talking about communication, I'm actually meaning back and forth, not this stuff, not the me sitting in a chat communicating with the streamer or something like that, because sometimes like the streamer might be doing their own thing and they will only like do a little bit of like, you know, sort of dipping out, dipping back in, dipping out and doing the focus. So with me, I've not been able to do the easy dipping out, dipping in, seeing what chat is saying and then dipping back out into the game. I've not yet perfected that art. It's one of those cases where I'm just going to hyper focus on the game, or I'm going to be trying to like poke and prod chat at being like, hey, I made a noise. Hey. Hi. So yeah. It's just one of those things you wouldn't have known about Benru. So, and this is probably one of the this is one of the more important reasons of me deciding to stream, especially on it's What's-a-Mahuzi. Did they just expect me to come out of all the different places? Am I gonna get a fucking, like, I'm just gonna go from one boss fight to another? Or does he not know I'm here? Nope, he was. Damn, this guy is smart. Dino Dance.
ゆうべはなんで電話してくれなかったんだよ。夜通しおめえからの電話待ってたんだぜ。何つまらなそうにしてんだ。おめえもこっち来て一緒に踊ろうぜキリア。
何を言ったんだ。あんた俺を殺そうとしてんじゃなかったのか。用がねえなら行かせてもらう。あんたのお遊びに付き合うつもりはない。
Oh, I can do you one better, Benru. I can do you one better.
まあ待てキリ。
We get oil from dinosaurs. We use oil to cook our dino nuggies. The dino nuggies are more dinosaur than the bones in the museums.
風間の頭にクゼの兄貴。俺にとっちゃ。
Using the animo to take down two guys who've been standing in my way a long time.
ほんとおめえは俺にとって福の神だ。俺はなキリ。
Hey there, Leon. Welcome to the stream. Leon, you missed out on me. Like, Benru asked a question about Twitter, and then that just got me into like opening a fucking can of worms on like what my day was like on fucking. Oh, here's a moment of communication just breaking down. It was amazing. How's it going, Leon? Also, if you guys don't know, Leon is an artist on Twitter. And they're doing a, like, I'm pretty sure you're doing this. You're doing a, like, each day you're doing an arts thing. Can I share what you created for me, please? Did you bring me up in the convo? No. I didn't bring you up in the convo. Benru mentioned a tweet that you originally brought up and such with like my name Scribbly and something about a plush, and I mentioned of like no it's about this plush thing in Madigi, and like Scribbly was like trying to be funny or something or other, and you know there was a slight breakdown in communication. I then went on to a tangent about a breakdown in communication in like other kind of things that were going off, and then just this like little thing of like, oh, some of the stuff I obsess about talking, you know, are, you know, non-problems kind of thing in Madigis, like when, like after Final Fantasy 14 when I was communicating with Sashera and Tatsu. But then there will be throwaway comments that I'll make, and that will be a problem for other people. So it's like I don't like trying to communicate with me and like trying to get better at communication is not an easy thing to do, just because of the simple fact that the stuff that I'm concerned about isn't a concern, and then the stuff that other people are concerned about I think is just a throwaway line. It doesn't work very well, and it hurts some days. All right, do I have you in a, where's the folder? L. Nope, you're in the miscellaneouses still. Unless...
Did you see it?
No, you're still in the miscellaneouses. I will need to double check if... Alright, so... Neon Hot Christmas 2023. There we go. Alrighty then. Check this shit out. Oh, nope, do not just drag a web link. Let's go for the actual image. Ding. Miscellaneous. And bam! Oh, wow, that is really fucking big. Hang on. Control E. Control E. Control D. Control... What's the transform to fit it? Control F. There we go. Look at this. Look at this. Isn't this wonderful? This is what Leon made for me. It's absolutely incredible. Look at it. Look at it. It's Christmas. I'm wearing a Christmas hat. I'm wearing a shirt with a gingerbread man on it. Like my eyes are doing a funny little star thing. It's really cool. So yeah, so Leon Hart is doing, aka Ryan Void. They are doing 25 days of Giftmas challenge. They just finished up day 4, as they mentioned in the chat. You should go check them out on Twitter. Hang on. Ding, 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 dun, Giftmas. No, that's not how I'm not gonna find you. I love how I Google Leon Hart and it gives me Leon Hart YouTube, which is for an actor and voice actor. That's not the person. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? There it is. Leon of Hearts, day 3, Giftmas. So yeah, And then I just need to get to their thingy-majiggy. Control C, Control V. There we go. There's Leon's Twitter, so you can check out their stuff. They make some cool little... They're just funny little guys. They're just funny. Hey! Hang on, sorry. I need to... All right, I'm going to replace this real quick. Copy image address. Properties. Image file. Delete that. Yes. Add browser source. Scribbly ding dong. Habam. Look at this. This is Scribbly. You didn't give him a shirt. You made him all sexy. You didn't give him a shirt. You made him all sexy. You gave him sleeves, but you gave nothing for him. You just left his tits out in the cold. Scribbly gets to be topless. Yeah, Scribbly gets to be topless. I don't know if that was a choice of Scribbly. Like, Scribbly knew you were doing the GIF miss thing, and it was just like, hey, listen, Leon, Leon, important news. I need it to be topless. Nah. Instead, look at this. Look at him. He's topless. Actually, I'm gonna say that to his face. Hang on a second. Where's Scribbly Noodle? You're about to get called out for who I'm doing for day 4. Ooh. Showed me his... Oh yeah, Leon's in Scribbly's chat. Did you ask to be top? I got myself a shirt. Hi, Kiaru. Welcome to the stream. Did you forget I was streaming today? You did, didn't you? I dropped out of what Scribbly was talking about, and, you know, the VOD isn't going to have anything from Chrome, so I'm just going to mute that, and we're going to get back into the game. No, I saw it. I just forgot to exist on occasion. Oh, that hurts. It's not like you go anywhere to run once you cut. Have this random thing from today. Alright, so you're a vegetarian, and there's an Asda delivery. We are out of stock for your vegetarian pasta salad, so here's a chicken and bacon salad instead. Oh, you wanna... Actually, I'll tell you this one, and then you can use it in Scribbly Noodle's TTS, because I can't be bothered doing this, alright? You might be able to, like, translate this into an even funnier, like, thing for TTS, but there was this joke was told, like, I heard this joke from, like, a TikTok for Sidemen or something like that, when they're trying to, like, it's like, oh, what if we did Tinder but in real life? And I can't remember the name of the guy that set up the joke, and they were like, have you heard of the don't bonk me, Leon. Have you heard of the transgender vegetarian? They were a herbivore. And it was and they, like, fashioned it into like the transgender vegetarian. Why was the transgender vegetarian? Because they were a herbivore. I think you know what you did. I don't know what I did. But yeah, you just remind me of something I try to erase from Roblox is trying to compete with Tinder. No! Cringe! You don't know how to translate? Alright, fine, I'll try and... Like, hang on. So if I go, say, herbivore and herbivore.
Herbivore and herbivore.
Okay, I think you can... So yeah, so when you're telling the trends, like... So it's like... Tarian. Alright. Dink.
Why was the transgender vegetarian? Cause he was a herbivore.
Didn't. Calling me out in your dad's stream. Look, it's not that bad. I just think it's funny that Scribbly is just sort of like, yeah, I'm totally fine with being topless. My policy of gifted art has remained the same, which is so if it's safe for work, it's fine. Look, that's my I have the same sort of policy as well. If you want to do a piece of art that's safe for work, you basically got like an automatic stamp of approval. If you're going to be doing something that's a little bit risque, like involving a nipple or a penis or, you know, something sexy like sexy clothing or something like that.
Paid me to say, boy, why don't you just do it? I have to deal with a delivery of dead creature butts and breasts.
That is a very interesting way of mentioning. Like, I'm pretty sure they're not using bacon butts. It's like they're using like the bacon like side. So what you're really having is a delivery of dead breasts and what's some whoosies. Hi there, Afronasia. Oh, Afronasia, tell me, is this a good joke? Why was the transgender vegetarian? Because he was a herbivore.
Bonk.
Damn it. Also, hi. Oh my god, you got some real eldritch nonsense. The only person who gets to use the bonk command on me is moderators and myself. Thank you very much. And you can't bonk myself. Give me your dead breasts. No, I am having if I'm getting cooked chicken, I'm eating it myself.
Jesus myself.
No, listen, you go to Jesus.
いやいや、ついこの前、おめえがクゼの兄貴
Just after you and Kuze threw down the first time, I went golfing. Koshu Country Club. Freaking gorgeous court. Ow. What's your point? You may not know this, but the food these golf spots serve is fan-fucking-tastic. 18 holes, then curry and a sauna. Once you taste that, the rest of the world's pleasures start feeling like a joke. I'm not sticking around to talk hobbies. Get to the point. Still young and impatient? You know, the world's chock full of shit that didn't seem like it had any connection to anything. Then it turns out it's really important. Anywho, so I was coming back from golf, and I took a little detour, visiting you in Nishikima's old place. Oh no. After hearing Kazuma was looking after the joint, I figured it'd be nigh palatable, but none. Was more like a kennel. Sunflower Orphanage. The geezer running it seems lively for his age. Bastard. What did you do to Sunflower? Whoa there, down boy. Relax. I ain't done a thing. I told him I work with Kazuma and gave him some pocket change. Maybe $1 million. Guy started crying. Sweet old man, that caretaker. Just be glad I didn't draw you that way, because you're pretty sure people would have went wild. Drawing you in that gingerbread shirt took a bit. I appreciate the gingerbread suit. Here's the thing, is like, there's a number of not safe for work pieces of me already. Like if you are on my Blue Sky, you will notice I have been sharing all of my like sort of past commissions on Blue Sky, and because like they have like a much better means of being able to what's a Muhuzi? They're able to what's a Muhuzi? They were because you're able to like mark the you're able to mark not safe for work content in different like volumes. So it could be like, oh, a little bit risque, a little bit of nudity, but it's not like, you know, it's not like for graphic reasons. And then there's just, oh, this is just porn, straight up. The penis is going into the vagina, straight up. Like you can mark the different levels like that. So any whoosies. So I've now been putting like all of my stuff onto Blue Sky, like past commissions, and so many of them are not safe for work.
Syra, you paid
so
me to
many
say
of them.
I sent your TTS, so here is punishment. This is Black Diamond. She is the most powerful diamond, and she's also the one Pink most likes to oop doggy style, sideways, frontwards, backwards, upside down, 360 degrees, no condoms, skin on skin, on the living room, on the bedroom, on the fridge, on the closet, on the ceiling, on the walls, on the bathroom, on the couch, on the car, and on the street.
What is that? What? Kiaru sent me a weird ass TTS. Mine was funny. I think it was. All right. I think it was funny. You hear that? Yeah, it is. Yes! Nice. All right, back to my stream. So yeah, you won't be able to hear the stream, like other people's streams, because it's coming through Chrome, which is in the music channel, which is not being part of the VOD. So some people may be confused with the sudden silence as I'm just sort of like checking Kiaru, and it's just like.
Syra, you paid me to say, my dearest Twitch chat, it is most likely the word condom that prevents the automod sending the message in chat, but allows TTS, or it could be doggy style.
It's doggy style. It was doggy style. I don't know why you thought condom was gonna be the one, but doggy style definitely was. Breaking news! Local old man goes on rant. Chat falls asleep. Kazuma family writes the script. The Kano clan's the muscle. Boring paperwork. Shibusawa's game. And me. Public relations. Extortion's my department. I'll say this, the closest thing to physical I'll ever do is hugs and snuggles. No, fair enough. I was just meaning that, like, I appreciate art when there's, like, when I'm clothed and things. You're gonna rewind to my tangent? Don't do that. Be in the now. Do not be stuck in the past. I wish that I was in a VC with Scribbly. We could do stream together. Like he could like invite me to a thingy-majiggy while I'm in the middle of playing Yakuza, because like I'm gonna be real. This guy's dialogue was a little bit boring, and he was just, you know, being all melodramatic of like, I know things. I know you're from an orphanage. Then get into the VC with Scribbly. I can't just like. I can't just send a message in his chat saying, "Hey, Grant here. I would love to be in a voice chat with you while we're both doing something completely different. I'm playing a fighting game." Holy shit, he just killed a random person. What the fuck?
Otherwise, I may have to send it again.
No, do not send it again.
Oh
god damn it. Ventilated. Are we gonna beat up this guy now? Step dodged.
決まってんだろ。俺は行く。あんたは揺さぶりをかけたつもりかもしれない。
何？
死ぬか生きるかは大した問題じゃねえ。
何言ってんだてめえ。
あんたが楽しいかどうかで物事を決めるのと同じ。俺は好きか嫌いかで決めるだけだ。俺が行く理由はただ一つ。あんたと組むのが死ぬほど嫌だってことだ。
キリ言ってね。
なら、撃たれる方が。
You know plenty of streamers that play different games but talk to each other on VC? Maybe. I don't know. I'll ask Scribbly like after stream or something like that of, oh hey, like someone's gonna need to remind me at the end of the stream. They're gonna need to like send me a message in my Discord and be like, hey, don't forget to check in with Scribbly Noodle if he's okay with like you poking him for a VC chat while you're in the middle of playing games. Wouldn't that be fun? I imagine we're about to get arrested or something like that. Well, she's like just legitimately dead. I see you in Scribbly's chat, Kiaru. I chuckled at ventilated because that was a very interesting turn of phrase to meaning getting shot full of holes.
Kiryu!
We're boned if anyone sees you. He just like drove in like relatively slowly as well. There wasn't any tire screech or anything. It was so calm. Ugh. Ugh.
おめえが見つかると思ってた。ついてたよ。錦分かってんのか。俺に関わるとお前もやべえ。うるせえ。これがお前を助けてやれる最後だ。
I'm guessing this is because
街中どこ行っても組の連中が張ってる。とにかく今はカムロ町を出るしかねえぞ。どこに向かう気だ。とりあえず都内を出る。それでもまだ気は抜けねえが、時間は稼げるだろう。
Not great. Damn it, I keep licking my lip. I keep licking like the bottom left of my lip because I accidentally bit into it one time. Okay, my prediction is they're either going to get stopped by a different like Yakuza group or something like that, like this is going to be a meetup, or Kiryu is going to get arrested by the police. Those are my two thoughts. This is either going to be a meetup or it's an arrest, like a sting operation. Could be wrong for all I know, but those are my two predictions.
錦ここはどうなんだ。
さあな。適当に車走らせてきただけだ。
Well, that's bullshit. You know exactly where we are. There is no fucking way you just drove us to the end of a fucking random road that's closed.
まだ借りっぱなしだった。
I was still bogarting it? I've never heard of that phrase.
やるよ。もう返せなんて言わねえ。
そうか。
Awano did say his expertise was extortion. Yeah, no, that is his expertise, but I don't think this would be Awano's thing. I think this is the third What's-Mahuzi guy. Oh!
そいつがお前の
Oh, this is
最後の一服だ。
何の真似だ。悪ふざけにしちゃたちが悪すぎねえか。
Nah, this is an ultimatum.
なあ兄弟、いい加減にしろって。
うるせえ。もうこうするしかねえんだよ。なんでこうなっちまったんだろうな。どっから歯車がずれた。
組の命令ってことなのか、錦。
そんなんじゃねえ。
ん？
桐生、お前組の制裁で殺される人間がどういう目に遭うか知ってるか。堂島組ってとこは見せしめの死体を作る天才だぜ。人間がどの程度痛めつければ死ぬのかよく知ってる。それをとことん死なねえように殺すんだ。
I wonder if
生かしたまんまできるだけ長く苦しむようにだ。生きたまま解剖されるような拷問されて散々痛めつけられた挙句、そして後になって見つかった死体はもう人間と呼べるようなもんじゃねえ。俺はな、桐生、兄弟としておめえにそんな死に方させられねえよ。堂島組に的にかけられるってのはそういうことなんだ。桐生、組織に目つけられて逃げ切ることはできねえ。極道には時効もねえ。お前も分かってるはずだ。
they could just as easily forget us is the thing.
俺も極道としてはもうおしまいだ。
Hi, Blue. Welcome to the stream. You couldn't keep streaming for like another 30 minutes, could you? Look at this look at this boy kisser. Look at this boy kisser. Let's see. Do we get like a fun little video? Roll the tape, Blue.
Inhaled me. I awoke a bit.
You awoke. Something inhaled and you awoke.
What is it? Go suck a lemon.
Okay, is the video just broken, or are you just having... Is that, like, your actual brain thinking, then? Are you, like... Is that how... Are you actually, like, thinking that slowly?
Adaptopated. I walked hither and...
Nah, I think it is. I think it is broken. I think you're right, Xerx.
And now I become quite stuck. Hey, where's Princess Peach? Isn't she with you?
This feels like a clip someone made to avoid advertisement.
Well.
This feels like a clip to avoid advertisement. Yeah, this feels like
forever
a
keep
clip.
killing him because his name, despite the...
Oh, I said that. I said that about... Okay,
doesn't
you're talking about Sean Bean. Ian, right? I said that line. That was me. I said that. I said that writers are regularly killing Sean Bean out of spite from the fact that despite the spelling, Sean Bean doesn't rhyme. His name is Sean Bean, but Sean doesn't rhyme with Bean, despite the fact that they're both spelt in a very similar manner, and it's only the beginning consonant that is different. All right, cool. The thingamadiggy is done. How's it going, Blue? How is your dinners? How's your din-dins? Is your din-dins okay?
けどせめておめえがひでえ死に方するのだけは避けられる。人思いに死なせてやれる。今俺にできんのはそれくらいしか。
Well, this is not how we die, so... I know we're gonna see him in, like, a 7th game. And there is no... Like, I don't think the Yakuza would pull off a... This is Yakuza's twin brother!
すまね兄弟。お前にここまでさせちまったのは俺のせい。
Fish! Why'd you spell fish, Benru?
頼みがある。俺をここで弾いたら俺の首を手柄にしていつか組でてっぺん取ってくれ。約束してくれ。頼んだぜ。
なんだよこっちみんなみんじゃねえよ桐生頼むから情けねえこと言うんじゃねえそんなんじゃてっぺん取れねえぞ
Did he shoot past him, or...
どうしたしっかり狙えよ
I'm pretty sure he even shot with his eyes closed as well. Since you were talking about how Sean and Bean don't rhyme because English is fucky. I already know that English is fucky. You think you got me with the fish? You think you could post fish in my chat and not think I was aware that you can also spell it with the GHOTI and following some of the weirdy rules of English that would also be fish? I may be autistic, but I can read English, and I can read all the fucky rules of English as well. I may not be able to know any other kinds of languages, and I will struggle oh so hard to learn any of them. I will fuck up in French, Japanese, Italian, and all the others, but I can read the English. I know when someone is trying to send me fish and pretend, and I don't know it. OW still annoys me. Yep. Wait, what's OW? Are you talking about Overwatch? We were not on that discussion. That is a fucking derailing. Yep, you were talking about Overwatch. That was unrelated to the conversation. You're enjoying this newfound trigger of mine. Yes, just communication. It's so fucking hard. Can't make it as a Yakuza.
Siri, you paid me to say you are aware my brain cares not for context, it says whatever the hell it wants. In other news, I'm hungry but have no goddamn pasta.
You can... Yeah, but here's the thing. You talked about your pasta earlier and how they swapped out the vegetarian pasta for the bacon and cheese... Sorry, the bacon and chicken pasta, which, you know, goes against the fact that you're a vegetarian. That one's not a leap. there is still a need for you to, you know, try and be within the realm of, like, relevant to the conversation.
俺だって人思いに死なせてやるなんて言い切ったくせにマジでダセえよ
だよなでも
Who is sending me direct messages and
キリアやっぱり二人で何とかして
錦今日ここであったことは全部忘れろ俺も忘れる
You shall turn yourself into sauce and die. Cool, but try not to die. You're welcome to make yourself into sauce. If you can accomplish that, I reckon that's going to be a very amazing life experience. Sauce doesn't have to worry about anything. Me, I have stalked you on your Discord.
Yeah.
It was me, Grant. I am in the Discord. I am sending the friend requests. Ow.
錦まず俺からけじめつけ
He asks to let me do what I have to do.
お前とはこれまでだ今日限り兄弟の縁を切らせてもらう
キリュウ
こっから先お前は二度と俺に関わるな
I wonder if he's gonna take the car. Yeah, he's gonna take the car and leave it there. I hope you... This is 1988. He doesn't have a mobile phone. You have risked your best friend dying on the side of the road. You've left him on his own. You are leaving him to be. Yay! Chapter 6 complete. Woo! 12 round the world, 100-day round the world chips. Previously on the tale of Goro Majima, Osaka Paradise, crowning it the cabaret the Grand Gojo Majira. But in the shadows of these neon lights, Majima's fate is held in the vice grip of a man named Sagawa. 3 years ago, Majima was a Kamurocho Yakuza. But when he defied his boss's orders, he was erased from the family, tortured, and banished. Now, as the price of his return to the Yakuza, Sagawa orders him to perform a hit. Kyu-chan! The name of Majima's target. Makoto Makira. When other Yakuza appear and threaten her... Yeah, she's blind, by the way. That's why she didn't see him earlier. Majima finds himself protecting the life he was hired to end. So yeah, because at first he thought it was the acupuncturist. Yeah, so... Have you played this before? Have you played this before, Blue? Do you know shit that's gonna be happening? Are you aware of Yakuza lore? If I could zoom in closer, I could. Look into my eyes. Look into my eyes. You haven't played a Yakuza game in your life. You know Tekken lore more than this. That does not answer whether you know Yakuza lore. You can learn about the lore without playing the game. Don't you gaslight me like this, Blue. Especially since you are so knowledgeable on the Kyu-chan. You know Majima is a maniac? Here's the thing, is Majima's not a maniac in this. He's not. Look at me, look at me, look at my eyes. Don't look around me, look in the eyes. She's blind, she doesn't know where the seat is. Jesus Christ, dude. Oh, it's the
倉庫や古いソファーやらそこら中積まれてる
it's the old cabaret shit, I'm wondering.
何があったんです？なんで私がこんな。
そりゃこっちのセリフや
That's the question, isn't it now?
が名指しでお前狙おうとる心当たりないわけないやろ
そんなこと言われても。
牧村誠という名前はテレクラの女どもによう知られとるそいつはコウモリの入れ墨の男を探しとるらしいその牧村誠はお前なんかそれとも名前語っとった店長の方か
それは
お前なんかせやったらそれがヤクザに追われとる理由か
知りません私は何もあなたは誰なんですか
Is he gonna give a straight answer this time?
俺かしょうもない男や
That is not an answer, dude.
人一人殺すこともできん最低の
最低の何
殺し屋や
Oh, Jesus Christ.
のことを殺せとだけ
Oh, shit. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the stream. My name is Grant. I am a variety himbo streamer. Hi there, Eviscerator. Mark 2. What happened to the first one? Also, how was Final Fantasy 16? I didn't have the funnest amount of time trying to get through Final Fantasy 16 because I was looking forward to like turn-based combat and such like that. Long time no punch. Have you been here before? I can't remember. It has been a real long time, if it has. It has been... I am not great at the names and faces, is the thing. So... excuse me. I am not great at the names and faces, so... But yeah. We are going through the Yakuza series. We're currently still on Yakuza 0. This is Chapter 7 we're on right now, where we're going between Kiryu and Majima, two, like, very popular characters from the Yakuza series.
言われたんや相手が目の見えん女とは知らされんかったけどお前を狙ってたのは俺だけやなかったお前って何者なんや
The real-time battle system from Final Fantasy VII kind of tainted things. Ah, okay. Also, I think it doesn't help when in the last like year or two, there's been a release of Devil May Cry, and when everyone is like, "Oh, what kind of system? Like, are you not? So you're not using Final Fantasy VII's like live battle system? What's your system for the action?" And then the director is like, "It's going to be like Devil May Cry." Dude, Devil May Cry is still doing things, and like here, my experience of Devil May Cry is a little bit of Devil May Cry 5 and 4, and I've completed the remake, like the one that was done by Ninja Theory, like well before I was doing streaming. And I'm gonna be real with you, I enjoyed the remake. I quite liked it. So when they're sort of like, oh, no one likes turn-based action, and we'll go with this, you know, we're gonna go with this action combat of the Devil May Cry series. Two things. Number one, we're just not interested in stale content. Number two, Devil May Cry hasn't released something very recently, so we're gonna have a very fresh interpretation as to what a quote-unquote Devil May Cry system is. Because God of War, technically speaking, is a Devil May Cry system, but you would not hear anyone from Santa Monica trying to tote God of War as the same system as Devil May Cry. They may use some buzz terms, but they would never want the association going off, because what ends up happening there is you are now being compared to giants instead of standing beside them. You are standing behind them, and you have to do better than them in order to no longer stand behind their shadow. It was good times, honestly. You enjoy the story a lot, all things considered. You've accepted that Final Fantasy isn't going turn-based anymore. At least Like a Dragon 7 and 8 still exists. Yeah, no, fair enough. Even the people who had worked on it, lol. Yeah, no, that's fair enough, but in the little bit that I've played Final Fantasy 16, like, it did not feel like Devil May Cry 5 in terms of like combat wise. I felt like I was doing the same 3 moves over and over again. There wasn't a benefit in, you know, trying to alter like the combat flow from like one move to the next or the other one. It felt like I was just having to like, oh, here are the 3 moves that I have to do now, and then I unlock something else to now do 3 different moves. Like, that's what it felt like I was doing. It wasn't a case of it's like the Final Fantasy 14 where it's like, oh, only the last symbol matters in like the ninjutsu arts. It doesn't matter like what the flow of the different arts was. Whereas in Devil May Cry, it's one of those cases of not only do you have like, you know, directional combat, but you also have the case of like, you know, pause and like pausing on some movements will give you a different flow of battle even on the same button. You do not have that feeling on, like, I did not get to that point in Final Fantasy 16, and games like Batman Arkham Asylum and Arkham City, they had a thing of, oh, if you, like, you know, time your punches, you do more damage and the combo increases faster. That one doesn't come up until a lot later on. So I think that was a little bit of my problem with Final Fantasy 16, is that I was expecting it to go, like, to ramp up in combat complexities as much as Devil May Cry 5 did. There's fun combos you can do with them all. Yeah. It just takes time, and I was just, unless they're owned by the Reaper company, namely EA. EA is, like, I'm not going to get into EA. I'm not going to get into the nuances of we're in the transitionary period between original vanguards of the video game industry and our slow transition to the new vanguard, while everyone is thinking like AAA is terrible and that indies are only thing, but everyone's being Hippocratic as fuck because there's like 90,000 indie games being released and only 80 AAA games being released a year. You're going to have like you're going to have a lot more analytical nonsense about the AAA games than you are going to have about the indie, because the only times indie enter into people's purview is when it's a huge lightning in a bottle moment like it is with Lethal Company. And the only reason Lethal Company is doing as well as it is right now is because as the actual like inside the combat is stale, and it's based so strongly on that you are playing with people. The communications within Lethal Company is absolutely amazing, like, don't get me wrong, and first person shooters would benefit from that kind of voice chat system, and there's just a lot of companies that don't want to deal with that voice chat system, because fun fact, when you deal with a voice chat, that is technically private property, and there is a huge slew of guarantees and that you need to make when storing private information, and how that private information is distributable, and it is very costly if it goes wrong. That's why AAA companies don't want to deal with more information than they need to deal with. It's because it's all to mitigate trouble. Doesn't get up to Devil May Cry levels of combat death, but hey, it works well enough to hold up. It's a really good story. Story I know was definitely the thing that did it. I'm just probably one of those like weird 1%ers where it's like I wanted to get into Final Fantasy, and I probably should have just gone into like Final Fantasy 1 to 6 when they did the repack, rather than going all the way into rather than starting at 16. It also doesn't help that it feels like VRC's new TOS is echoing EA's new patent. Wait, VR chat? I haven't read it.
あの男何者かわからんが、撃たれるときちゃんと急所外しとった。あの出血ならしな。
本当に？
用が済んだらあの男に会わしたる。けど、その前に知ってることを洗いざらい話してもらうで。牧村誠。
So yeah.
私を殺しに来たの。
Final Fantasy X is a simpler game that doesn't overwhelm you and has incredibly deep turn-based combat.
殺さないの。
I don't have Final Fantasy X. Maybe it's in the Xbox Game Pass, but I already have Final Fantasy 1 to 6 because they did the remake. They did the remasters and they were available on Steam. And for some reason, I was able to get a pack for real cheap. You're really excited to see if we'll get any references in Dawn Trail. Oh, well, a lot of them will probably go over my head, Xerix. I'm sorry to say. It left ages ago. Hmm. Doesn't matter. So, soon as a guy who hired me to do it finds out I'm keeping you alive, he's gonna kill us both. But if I knew why everyone wants you dead, hang on, I'm gonna move this back away. I might actually be able to do something here. What's the bat tattoo thing about? Why are you after this guy?
それは
Is he the guy who hired those Yakuza to get you? Why the hesitation then?
コウモリの入れ墨の話ならリーさんが
Lee knows about the man with the bat tattoo.
リーさんに聞いてください。そうすればわかりますから。
本当やろな。その話もっと早い言えや。いくら急所外しとって。
Wait, Final Fan. Okay. The Final Fantasy universe, I used to think there was like a continuity thing in Medigi, but after I'm pretty sure there was technically a continuity thing from like 1 to 3, but then after the fact, then they just do whatever time frame they want to do, and they're all like sort of they're in this like quote unquote multiverse, really, if we want to call it such a thing. And really, it's just a case of, oh, there are elements between the Final Fantasy games that stick with us as they make a new one. Cookie for Sky. And, like, it's things such as, like, the magic system, magic tech, Moogles, like, and the classes, like, those are the things, like, those are the connecting things from, like, one Final Fantasy game to another. It's just a case of, like, if someone else outside of Square Enix wanted to make a Final Fantasy game, they would have been, like, you know, copyright infringed really strongly because of these things. Get Tonberry insta-killed would be funny. You get Tonberried. Think of them as shards / reflections. Yeah, that's like a Final Fantasy thing.
さっき大丈夫って。
Only connection is a loose connection between 2X and 7, where they decide 2X was a prequel to 7 in a way, but it's 3,000 years in the past.
ええか、死にたなかったらこっから出るんやない。絶対やぞ。
はい。
How is she gonna eat?
Sipping time sponsored by Serdragonx88.
例の一つくらい言うてったらどうや。
山
I'm out of water.
朝早くにすまんかったな。
Yamagata?
オデッセイでもほとんど使わん。
Odyssey hardly uses that shed. If it can buy me a favor from you, I call that a bargain.
けど
Still, asking me to lend you space to keep a girl locked up? You're in some sick shit.
女のことは他言無用。
Don't breathe a word about her to anyone. That takes balls. Is that really the sort of request you make to your biggest rival? What makes you think I won't go spreading this little secret around?
このことがある筋に知れたら。
If the wrong guys knew about this, I couldn't stick around. And Sotenbori's without me's a problem to you too. Oh. Sotenbori is what is because of as the Grand and the Odyssey are locking horns. If it were just one or the other, you think half as many people would visit this little dirt stain on a map? Just like baseball. Nobody watches a series where one team steamrolls the rest. You think Odyssey has what it takes to keep a one-sided game interesting? Fair enough. Our Lord of the Night really can see the big picture. Very well. I'll keep your private indulgences to myself for now. But a favor's a favor. Don't forget you owe me now. Oh, and Majima.
Huh?
You ever go to the cabaret clubs?
Kyabakura? Oh.
Guess they're getting more common lately. They're a little different from full cabarets like the Grand or the Odyssey, no? Right. They charge by the hour like a cabaret, but offer the top-grade hospitality of a luxury club. Hence the name. I haven't been myself yet. Why? Maybe you should then. If folks around found out Sotobori's Lord of the Night haven't been to a cabaret club yet, they'd be laughing. And they good? They are. The dawn of the cabaret club is upon us, no doubt about it. Men and women both will make the shift soon enough. Full cabaret's got another few years, tops. If you're that big on them, why haven't you got into the cabaret club game yet? I know business ain't great over at Odyssey, but you gotta have that much something or other. I already tried. Couldn't make it happen. What do you mean? Go and take a look for yourself sometime. You'll understand real quick. Whoever rules the cabaret club rules the night. I think you'll see why. I'm talking too much again. So long. Said in some books that Shinra from Final Fantasy X2 invented space travel and travel to the planet 7 takes place on. 7 Remake would all but confirm that by having Shinra from X in a painting of the Shinra's founders. Ah! I think they're talking cabarets.
Huh?
Oh, God's sakes. It's you.
Omae.
Hey, buddy. I'm flat broke again. I want to go to a cabaret, though, so give me some money so I can go get there again. I wish you'd earn your money like the rest of us. Then I'd welcome you to my cabaret. Get some real nice girls then, huh? Anyway, why bother earning money when I can take yours? Hand it over. Ow. Ow. Oh, this is the... Oh, wait, no, it charges up heat and the, Ow. Yes! Batter up! Get fucked. I want my money. No, 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 get up, get up, get up, get up. Oh, Jesus Christ, get, oh. I am not losing to this man. It is a Japanese gile. No! No, my money! No! You distracted me! You distracted me, Blue! I almost had him! I even drank a thingy-madiggy and I didn't do the button mashing fast enough! Huh? Now I'm gonna have to earn money again. Should have drank 2. Rip. Yeah, I should have. But I feel like when he gets to that stage, it is just quite simply a one-hit kill, because he's that close to being defeated, and I need to be mindful of such whatsamahoozies, of such movements. I was fucked the minute I hit the ground and I didn't get myself back up fast enough. Wait, hang on a second. Settings. Load. Unsaved data will be lost. Are you sure? He still hits the same? Oh, okay, so it was a case of... Oh. Hello. Now we got these guys to deal with. We got goons. Yeah. I have to get my fucking money back and hopefully find the shakedown artist again in some random circumstance. Oh, another goon who wants to... Batter up! Shakedown is a form of banking, so it's good to let him take your money since he adds 10% more value to it by having it. Does he? I don't know if he's a good investment bank. That sounds like horseshit. Yay, a type B card. Alrighty. Who the fuck is... Oh, hey, cats! Oh, this is the breakdown. Oh, wait, no, that's a Shiba. Yeah, those are dogs. I thought they were cats. Those are not cats. He's probably wasted it all by now. He probably has. I need me monies back. Alright, can I fight you guys? No, I cannot fight you guys. Darn it. What the hell's happening here?
Huh?
So this... sales tax. You want us to pay a tax every time we buy something? You'll bleed the whole country dry. I understand your anger is justified, but it's a necessary evil for the sake of the nation's people. Get stuffed. You're gonna pay sales tax on the fancy suit that you're wearing, you damn bureaucrat. This tax is only made to keep the common people down. The younger guy is sure taking some heat over some sort of tax issue. Guess it's my lucky day to run into the son of a bitch bureaucrat trying to spring the sales tax on us all alone in a back alley, no less. I don't like your tones, sir. I represent the voice of the general populace, and I'm here to tell you we're fucking pissed. Why don't we give you a little taste of public opinion, then you'll know what oppression feels like. Wow. The audacity of these fucking, like, businessmen. Can I fight them? I want to fight them. I want to fight these pencil pushers. It's a new tax they're going to start charging it next year. Every time you buy something, they're going to charge you 3% more as tax. This is some bullshit. Whoa. I about lost it for a second there. I love it was like 3%. Jesus fucking Christ. Listen, I totally understand why it pissed you off, but beating this guy to a pulp isn't going to make the sales tax go away. Who gives a shit? The government needs to know what the people think of that shit policy in a way they'll understand. Direct action. If you ain't part of the solution, you're part of the problem. You want to stick up for the mosquito? Then we'll show you the power of the masses. So what you're really about after is blowing off steam. Sure. See how far that'll get you with me. Menacing men. Oh, these guys are about to have their fucking like cake rolled in. untouchable. I'm sorry, I was out of line. It won't happen again. Nothing makes you more money than letting the shakedown rob you, and it's just hilarious. Noted. I still don't like it. I don't know if you realize this, Eviscerator, but prior to you raiding and prior to this particular fight, whenever I have to deal with story-based fights, I am not doing fairly well. I am struggling sometimes with this combat. Teo in the sun. If I may, can I buy you a drink as thanks?
Yeah.
You insist. You came for a conference on taxation, but you weren't prepared to face the public. You're driving a tank called the government. Even if you're careful, some people are going to be pissed when you steamroll them. But you're trying to make this country a better place to live, right? You gotta take some pride in that. You knew people would be unhappy with a new tax, but only on a logical level. When you saw how emotional they got about it, it was daunting. More taxes on top of the sales tax? Nothing's set in stone yet, but we're considering even more effective ways of generating revenue streams. At tomorrow's conference, I have to give a talk on some of these proposals. With everyone making such good money these days, you can't fault the government for wanting to get their hands in the pie. As you've seen firsthand, we have to consider public opinion. I wonder if I can really come up with a tax that everyone's with. Good with that. Even if they're throwing cash into the fireplace, nobody wants the government to hold out its hand. I haven't found the balance. You're a little lost at the moment. I can't say I understand a lick of what you're trying to do, but take care of the country for us, all right? Can you help me just once more? You got another mob waiting to sting you up? Oh, no, nothing like that. I want to get your views on taxation. What? I know less than nothing on the subject of taxes. That's why you're perfect. You see, I just had this idea. Perhaps someone who's completely ignorant of the taxation can offer an entirely different perspective. Absolutely fucking not. The reason for the taxes that exist in today's age is because that is being utilized by the government to help feed into any of the services or goods that are utilized in the country without being owned by a corporation or an individual. Now, this is supposed to go towards things such as infrastructure, supply and demand for any medical needs, so it doesn't get privatized and is only held within, you know, whatever region, school, yada yada. People need to understand that, first off, you need to understand, what the taxes are used for and such, and you need to be aware of, where they're getting used. So, for instance, in Australia, we have the goods and services tax in Australia is a flat 10%. And anytime you go into a grocery store or you look online or anything like that, the price advertised to you is advertised with a GST. And it's the exact same everywhere you go. It doesn't change when you go to different states or if you go for different goods. It's a flat 10%. There might be, some goods might have more taxed on them or something else, but every time that is a case, it is us as a consumer, we don't have to do the math at checkout of oh, because you're buying this, 30 pack of 4X gold, you're going to have to, increase, you're going to have to do the math on the thing. You don't have to do any of that. The math is done for you. Whatever you see on the label is what you have to pay and what have you. It's a flat 10%. And every year, the ABC talks about it. I'm not too sure if other channels do this, but every year, close to every year, I'm pretty sure, but there is a segment where the current standing government in Australia goes through their budget and they explain what changes of the budget happen. But to put it into short, about a third of it goes into the military, another third goes into Medicare and Medicaid sort of stuff, and then the remaining third goes into all the other nonsense such as utilities, roads, and any other future projects in order to try and encourage housing or Centerlink and yada yada. That's why you're perfect. Please, Majima-san, it's no exaggeration. The fate of this country rests on your shoulders. Will you please give me advice on taxation policy? I guess so. Alright. Can we get somewhere... Alright, so we're going somewhere more appropriate. Kiryu can at least clown on Shakedown, thankfully, if you happen to go through the effort of doing the real estate stuff. Majima can too with certain skills, but you didn't look too hard at it at the time. That's exactly why I asked you. I know you'll have some unique insights, not bound by typical conventions. You're hoping to strike gold in a copper mine. Let's make sure you're not completely in the dark with a basic question. Do you know why the government collects taxes from the people? To provide public services. As you said, taxes are collected mainly for providing education, medical, the police, yada yada yada. They pay for services that need to survive. We gotta build roads and bridges and keep them in working order, but there's more to it than that. If you were in the position of collecting taxes, what would you tax? Tobacco. It's a health concern, and what's more is, if you want to try and combat people getting, like, you know, nicotine addiction and all that kind of shit, then it makes sense to, you know, make this commodity, which is affecting your health, to cost you more, because it will incentivize people not to buy it if they want to remain healthy as a side effect and not have to worry about money. And for those that don't care about their health and don't care about the money, they can go for it. So since the government monopoly on tobacco products ended 3 years ago, there actually has been a small tax on tobacco products. I smoke myself, so I don't really want to pay a tax on them, but I suppose they're non-essential. If you're going to jack up taxes, it's the non-essential stuff that you start with. People might even be more likely to understand a tax on smokes.
Yeah.
People will bitch and moan, but I think they'll still fork over $300. Wait, are they talking about, like... Wait, was a pack of smokes like $4 back in 1988? Jesus Christ. Remember when tobacco in my home state was taxed into being $20 a pack? You made your sis quit. How much is a pack of cigarettes in Australia? Hang on a second. It's very tempting to ask Scribbly Noodle, but I don't think he's gonna give me the answer. All right. Cigarette purchase. All right. So if I was going into something called Smoke Mart, if I wanted... Okay, so you can get 10 packs of 20s for $313. So, yeah, you're talking about like 30 pack. You're talking like $30 a pack. It's $7 in the current state I'm in, and same in Wyoming. Jesus Christ, does it change that differently? Wait, this is assuming... Okay, so your home state, and then the current state you're in. So, Jesus Christ, it does not change that crazily between different Australian states. It shouldn't, at least, so... Alright. Back to the game. Bam. Man, they're talking... Is it like, oh, 400 yen? That's fucking $4.
Huh?
What else? What else do you think would have potential for taxation? I think something that's closely tied to everyday living would have the best essentials. The tax tied to everyday living is pretty shrewd. Gas. Ooh. I think gasoline, because, like, I don't think there's that many people in Japan that actually that utilize a motor vehicle as their primary source of transportation, and it would be encouraging the use of public transport and walking. It's cheaper than $4 considering it's 1988. Oh yeah, it's even cheaper than that.
Yeah.
People with cars are obviously living it up here. Why not skim a little off the top? The price of gas is dependent on the cost of petroleum, so people have experienced price hikes before. They should be used to price creep. There's also a provisional tariff on gas tax. There's certainly room to raise taxes without too much notice.
Yeah.
I think it's fantastic. Definitely follow up on that. Do you have anything else to say on the matter of taxation? All right, let's have a look. What are our options?
Yeah.
I was thinking about the sales tax those goofballs roll right up a bat. So next year, we're going to start paying 3% on top of everything we buy. Well, why stop at 300? Sure, you can go in at that rate, but wouldn't you get more if you bumped it up? That would be impossible. You saw what happened. Just a 3% tax caused so much outrage. People wanted to tear me apart. To charge more would probably end in open revolt. You ain't thinking. People are pissed because you sprang a new thing on them, and you had to turtle it up. You gotta think about the long game. The long game? Familiarity is a scary thing, my friend. Sure, people are bitching and moaning about the shiny new tax, but once it becomes a regular part of life, they'll move on to the next thing to bitch and moan about. And that's when you start gradually turning the screws. Every time you hike it up a little, you'll get some more blubbering, but they won't be screaming bloody murder like the first time you introduce the tax. Want to know why? Because they'll be used to getting screwed.
Did you see it?
If something they're already accepted gets a little worse, it's just the facts of life doing what the... Jesus Christ. Majima! You horrible man, you. Like, sure, we're dealing with a 10% sales tax over in Australia right now, but that's like across all of Australia, and there's no other, like, taxes that we get hit with and what have you. Majima is too perfect for the government. California or some random place in the US tried to put taxes on everything, even air. If the sales tax were to raise, how high do you think it should go? 8%. Ooh, we got ourselves a cool stone thingy-majiggies. Nice. He would be too good for government, honestly. Majima just being like, hang on, if I recommended increasing the taxes in our country, does that mean that I'm increasing the taxes of our country? Hilarious. Alrighty. Also, let me have a look at the, Legend has it the bearer of this ancient mystical stone will receive its protection and it can be used to craft equipment. Noted. So that's what it's for. Alright, so this is where I was previously. Oh, time to intervene. Let's beat him up. Nice. Year after year, this game is set in Japan. Announce it. The year after this game is set in Japan, it announced an 8% sales tax. Oh my goodness, that is actually kind of funny. They're just like, oh, what if we raise it by 8%? And it's like, fun fact, viewers, in 1989, Japan raised their sales tax to, it's a rich man. You, give me your money. You're gonna get absolutely fucking decimated. Yes! Untouchable and a finishing bro, nearly $2 million. We're no match for him. Abso-fucking-lutely not. You're gonna head off to bed. I hope you love your sweet buddy. Sweet dreams! Time has come for you to initiate in the what's in the whoosy ways. Oh, the sparring thing. Oh, do I have to? Alright. I thought I could, like, go back and say, nah, man, sorry, my bad. I didn't mean to do that. You must further upgrade your thug style. Yep, noted. Before I go, I'll say this to avoid you judging me tomorrow. I'm drawing Yong topless for day 4. I don't know who Yong is, but you're welcome to draw whoever you want topless. Don't worry about me. I was just being funny. I was just being funny for the fact that I get to have a t-shirt and Scribbly gets nothing. I was just being funny.
Ano.
Nice. The tax situation in the US is confusing as hell, considering it can change city. Yeah, here's the other thing as well. Like, even in our digital age, the tax is not presented on the price tag in the US. The tax is not calculated until you're at like the final stages of your shopping cart and what have you, which I think is a little bit ridiculous. I think if you're dealing with international shipping and what have you, or you're dealing with like a local store with a website, they should just give you the price with the tax on top of it and everything like that, rather than like hiding it in the end. It's a little bit ridiculous that they assume. Hang on a sec, I want to use the dream machine and see if we get anything cool. Alright, we get something cool. Alright, break this man. You're all mine, fuckers. You're about to get absolutely fucking owned. Nice. Thank you for the pocket tissues. Oh my god, there's so many people with pocket tissues. It's ridiculous. This way. You missed the tax-free Amazon of Connecticut. Ooh, I don't know how I feel about Amazon giving us tax-free shit. Although, to be fair... Oh god, not this guy again. Wait. I can probably take him on this time. I need food. Damn it, that's not what I need. Alright, intervene on these guys. It was since the state didn't tax online purchases. Oh, that's fucking incredible. Nice. That was some quick work. Alright, contact lenses. Oh shit, gold shirt guy went away. No, don't take my shirt, you bastard! Varying gorgeous girls. No, thank you. Fine, let's go into the fucking cabaret, I suppose. Darn you, Blue! It's a good thing I didn't have to face that shakedown artist, because you likely would have done it for that. How dare you? Oh, doy. That's not good. Well, if the body's not here, hopefully it's not a problem. Oh, wait. You're in a very bad position in terms of, like... Well, he was an idiot. Who are you? Why are you here? I can't understand you if you don't use your words. I just come to get clothes for Lee. So you know where the guy running this place is now? Where is he? Is he alright? He's at the hospital. You're a doctor? All Chinese around here come to my hospital. Lee-san came in last night. Where's the hospital at? I'm not gonna tell ya. I'm on Lee's side, Doc. That means you know Makoto, the girl that works here? I know her. Very worried about that girl. She's the one who asked me to meet with Lee, so please tell me where this place is. Quick, before I make this hurt. Alright. My hospital in Mahjong Jambalaya. Mahjong Jam.
Zeebs is a cutie.
I refuse that statement. I am absolutely not cute. It's impossible. Pure fiction. But yeah. Mahjong Jambalaya. Mahjong Jambalaya. You ever play Mahjong, chat? I've only seen it in Crazy Rich Asians, and I don't think I would do a very good job playing it. Oh, you had to punch him, didn't you? Take a power nap. Yes, take a power nap. Just bonk. Big guy with the bullet hole should be there. Awesome. Alright, more people to beat up. Yes, please. Nice. I love how I'm just doing the... Yes, IC use their own commands. They're able to use their own voice commands. They're just not able to, like, define which ones they want to use besides the Go Suck a Lemon one, and there's a timer on that one. You're gonna go take a nap now because you're tired. Need to do some more of the Yakuza myself. So far, you've only played Zero, Like a Dragon, and Gaiden. I have only played Like a Dragon and this one so far. Yeah! Whack! And batter up! Oh, 3 million. Absolutely fantastic. But yeah, good luck with your sleep. I will need to go to sleep shortly as well, actually. Give me a sec. You know what? I'm actually going to go for a save thingy-majiggy if I can find one. Alright, it's all the way down there. Past the Shakedown Artist. Alright, give me my fucking money back, you absolute... You fucking behemoth. Give me my money back. Huh? Yeah, that wasn't gonna get rid of him entirely. Both Yakuza Like a Dragon and Yakuza 0 are great entry points. Yes! Oh, my victory! My money! Mine! Yes! Oh, this is a great... No shit, Sherlock. Better be more careful when you pick your victim next time. Huh? I guess you didn't notice I was holding back this time. You'll be dead if I hadn't. As if I'm so sure. Seriously, if you die, I can't shake you down again later. So I have to make sure I keep you alive. Yeah? Then don't hold back next time. We'll see if the result's any different. Well, I'm done for today. I couldn't get my money, so there's no point hanging around here. I'm going home. Yes! My victory! My victory royale! He's a dumbass. I win. My win. And I'm going to save before I forget. New slot. There we go.
Calm your rice paddy.
You calm your rice paddy. Alrighty then. And on that note, we are ending the stream here. Thank you, everyone who came along to tonight's stream. I greatly appreciate it. Eviscerator, thank you for staying up a little bit longer and for raiding into me. I greatly appreciate it. I will be online again. I'll be online and streaming again Wednesday. Double check the Twitch's time thingy-madiggy will adjust to your time zone. I highly recommend looking at that for figuring out when I stream Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday nights. I highly recommend checking via that method. Now, I ask that you join me, you stay with me for a little while longer as we go and have a look at who it is that we can go and raid. Let's have a look. Is Scribbly doing something? Scribbly is still doing something. I will nosy at you on disc then. Alright, we're gonna go raid into Scribbly. Give me a second. Yakuza is hard. You gotta do real estate, cat fights, and race toy cars. That is going to be our raid message. If you'll join in with me on that one, you go suck a lemon, furry cures. I don't have any emotes, but you're welcome to add in whatever you want of your own. And otherwise, I want to say thank you everyone who came along to tonight's stream. I greatly appreciate it. Eviscerator, thank you for raiding in. Savage, thank you for the 20-month sub. Sir Dragon, thank you for the sub. Jason, thank you for the 25 months. And I will be online Wednesday night, but otherwise, I hope to see you all another time. Bye for now.